All right, welcome to another episode of Song Title Challenge, where the question is, climbers, how would you write this one? This is where listeners of this podcast, whom we humbly and gratefully refer to as climbers, send in their song titles. You can send in as many as you want. You can send in one, send them in a list, send them in a bunch of different emails. Just don't send me multiples. Just send me, keep the titles clean. Send them to info@daredevilproduction.com. Production is singular. There is no S. Info@daredevilproduction.com and put STC or Song Title Challenge in the subject line so that it gets into the right folder. If you don't, it won't. And that way, I go through a whole list of emails and pick out a title that I just feel I'm going to spring on Brent and our guest. And we have a really cool guest today, somebody I'm happy to call a friend. I can't wait to introduce you to him. And then we spend about the next 15, 20, 25 minutes trying to cook up 5 or 6 different angles to write the lyrics to make sure that, sometimes the first angle that you have is the best angle, but a lot of times it's not. And we have gone down that road where the 5th or 6th thing where we came out like, oh, that's the angle. And this is a fun, creative exercise. It's not a co-write in any way, so you can use all of what we say. You can use none of what we say. We just do demand that you invite us all to the number one party. And it's a really amazing exercise to breathe new energy and new life into old titles in your hook book that might be a couple years old that you haven't looked at in forever because you're focused on the new hard, shiny objects that have recently been written in there. And Brent, you can attest that you've done this multiple times now and actually gotten some cuts already.
Yeah, for my own songs, not through songs that come through the podcast, but yeah, for my own songs, I'm starting to see there's always that long pipeline of music, but I've been doing these it's so much fun and productive on the podcast. I started I got to do this for my own old titles. And so, yeah, they're starting to come out now, starting to be released by artists. So it's fun.
Right on. Well, today I am proud to introduce our guest, who is, first and foremost, I want to thank you for your service, sir. You are an Air Force veteran and served our country, and somebody that I am blessed and proud to call a friend. A Grammy winner. Hello. He produced the 12 Stories record for Brandy Clark, and amongst other major accolades. I mean, Lover from I'm forgetting the artist now. Lover.
Jared
Neiman. Yeah, Jared Neiman. And just an incredible writer. And you're currently working on a project with Jenny Tolman here that you've been working on for quite a while. That's really getting some life in there too. Please welcome to the Climb Show, Mr. Dave Brainerd. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Yay!
Hey, hello. It's not my nature to hear myself being promoted, but I appreciate all the kind words, and it's fun to be a part of this. Already talking to you guys sounds like you're having a ton of fun with this. So that's
we are. We really are. We really are. And you know what? The guests that say, first of all, thank you for saying yes, Dave.
Yes.
We really appreciate this. We know you're super busy. And the guests that we do have on, just have a really good time. And some of them are even like, gosh, okay, I need to go back and do some of this to my old titles too. Like, I really had fun, and I can see where this can really be awesome, because you kind of get that pro muscle built and it's really strong, but sometimes you just a fundamental thing. It's like how Brett Favre always, threw the fake pass after the handoff. It's just that fundamental follow through. It makes for a lot of extra yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always a good thing. So,
one thing I was thinking, and this will be good for me because, I don't write necessarily these days from a true songwriter perspective. I'm writing from a producer perspective. Like if I'm writing a lot of times, one of the things that affects that is the venue that we're trying to write for. Like if we're doing the Jenny stuff, hey, we need a barn burner for the Ryman Auditorium, or we got an opener for so-and-so, or what's this next record going to do, and what's it need from a tempo standpoint. Mm-hmm. A lot of that feeds kind of what the idea is going to do. So if you say like the dance and you happen to need a waltz for your set, sometimes that'll kind of bend the whole song towards that, right, Brent? It's like, so what I say from a production standpoint is putting together a set show, a live set, or a record kind of bends the way I usually think of when someone brings in an idea, like what that idea kind of is pushed towards functionally, uh, on a record or on a live set. So it's interesting. So I'm totally this is geeking out on the original songwriter thing. Like, what do you do with the concept of a hook right from the get go? Is fascinating.
And you bring up a good point, Dave. So this is not shackled or constricted in any way, shape, or form by a specific genre. So
Right.
we can come up with we can say, hey, this idea would work great in commercial country, and then if we twist it this way, we could actually do Southern gospel. This could be pop. That could be rock. You just
Oh,
have
cool.
an unfettered sort of free reign to think in any way, as long as it's just a cool idea. You don't have to say, well, maybe that's not going to get cut on country. Well, maybe you'll get cut on
Pop
in pop or
or
something like
whatever.
that.
Yeah.
So just want to make sure we open that door for you. So
But I tell you though, before we get into that, just what you said about looking at it from a producer point of view, I am not a producer. I'm a lyricist, but I'm trying to think more like you think as a producer, going, especially when I'm writing with an artist, but even when I'm not, going, what might an artist need for their show? What might they need for their, record that they're not having? Usually the answer is tempo, but
Yeah.
what are they?
Right.
I'm trying to think that way more like you do, and less like, oh, just what do I feel like he could do anything? Well, okay, you could do anything. So what's more likely to get cut? Let's do one of those things. So
Yeah. And
I
that's
can do anything.
the
Why
fairest
not
way
do
to
the
put
one
it.
that might have a better chance? What's Dave looking for? That's what I want to write. So
there we go. All right,
yeah.
so gentlemen, are
Yeah.
you ready?
Start your engines. All right, what do we got?
Start your engines. Okay, so today's song title is from someone who's submitted song titles that we've done on the show before, Joe Bagalki.
Joe, he Facebook messaged me the other day, or put him. No, I sent out the bat signal for song title challenge. Joe's like, he has like 300 of mine. He's good for a while. So
Yeah, it's true. It's true. He sends me a bunch, and we're grateful for it too. So here is the title. I'm about to give it to you. I'm going to do a hot take on it before I mention the title name. Um, I can see the low hanging fruit right off the bat from where this could go. And it seems like it might be a little specific, but I'm really fascinated with where we're going to go with this. Okay, so here's the title. 3 words, 12 Apostles Bar. 12 Apostles Bar.
wow, those 3 words don't usually go together.
I know, interesting, right?
Thank you and darn you, Joe.
Not going to be immediately not going to be on Southern Gospel. Well,
Yeah,
that's not true, because maybe it's a juice bar. You don't know what kind
it
of
might
bar
be a
it is.
juice bar. It might be boy.
Or well, how do you
Check
spell juice?
Judas. Check Judas's test at the end of the night. What was that?
He said, "How do you spell juice? Is it JEWS or is it
Juice bar, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That's great. And it's funny because it's true. Yeah, just be sure you check. Don't let Judas handle the cash register, because he will take them from the till.
Keep Judas at the end of the bar, away from the cash.
Keep him away from the cash register.
Let him drink,
right.
but keep him down there. His money's good, but yeah.
Right. Peter would be the bouncer. Okay, would that be a thing? Would that be like crazy to do? Like, talking about these guys, like if they were at the bar, Peter would be the bouncer. Because like when the soldiers were coming to the Garden of Gethsemane to arrest Jesus, right before the crucifixion and stuff, Peter was like the one that grabbed his sword and cut a dude's ear off. Like Peter would for sure be the bouncer.
Yeah.
That's
so already the personification of like each one of the apostles as
or
they're
stick them
written
in a
the
role
Bible,
in the
and putting them in a role in the bar is fascinating. Like, who's the marketer? Who's the bartender?
yeah.
You got the bouncer.
Matthew was a
serving
tax
cocktails?
collector, so you put him at the register. You put him at the cash register, right? You got him taking the money, not Judas, because he held the purse, but he also apparently stole from it some. Obviously, you can't trust Judas.
Is Jesus the bartender? Because if he can turn water into wine, That's the best bartender you can possibly.
Well, right there, mic drop.
Exactly, yeah.
There's no taps. We don't know what happens, but just stuff disappears.
We got a tap. It's just the water tap. It's just,
Yeah.
but somehow it goes in the barrel and it comes out like the top shelf stuff.
Could it be a statement on the over commercialization in certain sectors of, let's say, religion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have your good religious communities, and then you have some
like Starbucks, Church of the Starbucks kind of thing, where it's the mega church kind of, thing. It could be like, that's what's next, or we will do anything we can to reach the unreached, even if it's like having the 12 Apostles bar. Come get your Holy Spirits. So,
there you go. Already, this is super fun.
It's fun. Who knows what the song idea might end up being, but this is fun. It's a fun journey. So yeah, it's weird because like looking at the idea going, okay, well, like Johnny said, well, I don't know if this is working Southern because of the whole bar thing. There might be certain like Christian country artists, because 12 Apostles is so like specifically a biblical reference, New Testament, it's like, it's a little deeper in there, right? So you're definitely using church language, and then bar is definitely not churchy like language,
unless it's raised the bar kind of bar. Maybe it's the precedence that was set by the 12 Apostles. Maybe there's your
maybe it was what now the
like precedence, the bar was raised.
Yeah, like just trying to reach
really the 12 bad. That wouldn't last. That wouldn't even usually come out of my mouth, but it ran through my head, so it was worth saying.
I like that.
That's the thing too. It's like, well, I got one of them beat. It's the other 11 that I'm not doing so well against.
Now, see that right there. I mean, that's kind of, so those are some conceptual things, it could be like an introspective kind of thing. So I think
you
could do a paint, like if I could see a painting instead of the Last Supper, it's the Last Hangover.
That's
They're all waking up. Vegas.
Because there's some argument that Mary's in that, right? If you believe Dan Brown,
yeah.
Mary's like hairs off to the side, just all like looks like banged up from the night before.
That's funny.
It'd be this. I know none of us are blasphemous, so it's like you got to kind of like ride the line of blasphemy to kind of riff on this, right?
Yeah.
I can imagine you could do a lot more if you're purely blasphemous.
And right, again, you could go rock and roll and go that route and know that it's, where it might be considered in bad taste in country or something that nobody would cut in country. It could be the coolest sort of anti-establishment kind of thing for a rock and roll band or something.
Or here's one idea. What if this bar is in heaven? It's kind of like the country song. It's kind of lighthearted thing. It's sort of like, hey, hope there's bars in heaven. Maybe it's that kind of angle on it.
Yeah,
and they serve Mogan David. Like, yeah.
Well, it could be like, with the Holy Spirits and Matthew's, he's running the cash register, but everything's free. So, that might be interesting because it would be more of a country, not like a straight Southern thing, but like I want to go to the 12 Apostles bar and like sit around, like one of the best parts of the bar is like sitting around with your buddies, telling stories, hearing stories. Right. And so it could be about that. I'm going to the 12 Apostles bar and I want to hear Peter talking about how, depending on how like serious you want to get or lighthearted, like Peter going, okay, I thought I was like, when he came walking up on the water in the middle of that storm, like just tiptoeing across the waves, blew my mind. Or like, I want to hear what Peter was thinking when he jumped out of that boat and started walking on water, or just something as like serious, again, with Peter, like, man, how I felt when the rooster crowed, but he forgave me. So that would be cool. Like if you frame it, not even so much about the drinking thing, but like, I just want to go hang out with these guys.
Yeah, as if it's a hang and
not so much about the drinking, but like we want to go and stay up all night and listen to the angels singing and whatever as we're telling these stories. Like I want to be there hanging out the 12 Apostles bar.
So this is kind of where I love that. This is kind of where sometimes you start off with a song idea. I don't know if you guys get into this a bunch, but sometimes that becomes a whole different title, but it kind of leads into this concept. Like in kind of like I could see, Craig Monday would write a lot of these kind of songs.
Yeah.
Finding Jesus in a jail cell, and then he wasn't really there, kind of thing, like that spiritual kind of real life kind of
Grit and grace kind of
grit,
thing.
working man kind of thing. So what
Yeah.
if the concept you go into 12 Apostles Bar, but it's really like you've met these different characters throughout your time at going to this local bar,
Mm-hmm.
drinking, sitting on the bar stool, having deep talks with someone, and that person is allegorically or somehow like Matthew or
Mm-hmm. Doubting
Judas.
Thomas
You've met
or
all of them at that bar, sitting at that bar stool, and
mm-hmm.
To me, that's where I don't know if this title would be 12 Apostles Bar, but that concept would lead that song, and then you'd find the right way to,
Yeah. And
title the
also like
song after that.
and at one time or another, I've been all these guys. I've doubted like Thomas.
Oh yeah,
There
I've
you
been
go.
unfaithful like Judas. I've been so zealous and self-righteous like as Peter. Or I've been, and you can list off things like all by myself. I'm like the 12 Apostles Bar. Or you talk about
I'm
you've
like the
met these
12
people,
Apostles
but
bar.
also I've been like that person too. I've been like all of them too.
yeah.
So it's sort of like a forgiveness, like don't throw stones if you live in a glass
Yeah, and
house
just
kind of a
realize like, man, on
thing.
my
Wherever
journey.
that would go, I mean, because there's rooms, obviously, with that archetype, you're looking at finding some deep meaning. This is a Bluebird song, the way we're talking about it right now. Like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's gonna be like, how do I? Okay, Tony Arata just did his thing, and now I got to follow that. But I got the ace up my sleeve. It's a
Yeah.
song about 12 apostles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna make the girl in a straw hat with a Garth Brooks T-shirt on, and 15 feet away from the stage, raise her beer
Mhm.
and dance, like that. That's a whole different song. If you wanted to write that, that's
Yeah.
a
Is
different
there a
audience.
way to get to that from this title? And like
Couldn't
that's
you
why it's
make
kind of
this
like, is there a
a
way to
tempo anthemic kind of a thing, like with a tongue in cheek? Um, like how much do you learn about people at your local watering hole? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just people, the human experience, the whole thing. And you know what? It's a 12 Apostles bar. We've got Peter and we've got Judas. They're
Mhm.
all in there. They're
Yeah.
they're they're all there, but they're all God's children, kind of thing. Or they're all there, and we're just here to have a good time. Some of us are stumbling. Some of us have doubt. Some of us have
Mhm.
this, but we're all in this together, kind of a thing.
Like
It could be a anthemic thing.
maybe so. I mean, it's a stretch for sure. I'd be like, and the next idea, what else you got? Would
You
probably be what Dave and
say,
I
can I
both
bum a
say. Would be
holy
like
smoke?
some holy smoke.
Can I bum a holy smoke from you?
No, so
Uh,
yeah. I mean, like
If you threw the puns in a pile, eventually it would turn into like you say, something kind of.
yeah.
It could be a funny thing because coming from I always love my favorite character is the kind of Ivy League redneck. She's like real. I mean, songwriters in Nashville are kind of that way. Like you're very smart, but you're trying to. It's like there's a humility and a
Mhm.
stupidness, clownishness to it, but
Yeah.
it's really smart clownishness. Like
yeah.
if you put it in that kind of frame, you could just a page full of puns. I'd start writing all the puns down and just see where they all stack up. And
Let's see if you
Yeah.
can make something out of it. Yeah.
What if okay, so we can explore like what is the bar? Is there another way to go with the bar besides how the bar is set? But
Mhm.
also, what if um
Like a
you know
protein
what
bar?
what can you
No.
put what can you put before it,
Yeah. I
right?
mean,
Like what could you like? There's no such thing as a 12 apostles bar, um,
yeah.
or something along that line.
Which the first thing I think of is like, yeah, there's no such thing as a 12 apostle bar. It sounds super judgy. And that's what I'd want to say. Like, okay, let's make people feel bad about themselves. Although there's a time for that. But well, one thing I think of is like, you look at you know, you look at the disciples, the apostles, the people that spent time with Jesus, and how he used these screwed up, fallible, like totally imperfect people. I mean, there's like one perfect person in the bunch, and that was Jesus, right? Otherwise, they're a freaking mess. It's like, how did he build his church on this? More likely, you know, it looks to me it's more like he'd end up with the 12 Apostles bar than like founding the church on this.
Oh,
Is there a way of like something like
Great
that?
angle.
Like,
yeah.
like these guys are more fit for like running a bar, not like, there had to be something supernatural going on because these yahoos, like, and which I would be the biggest yahoo among them, so I ain't throwing stones. But it's like, no, these guys, you got the tax, you got the zealot, you got, who are the brothers that were angling about who's going to be like, sit at God's, Jesus' right hand, like they were angling for position, and you have just all this doubting Thomas, all these screw ups. But yeah, he did this thing. It's like, I wonder if there's a way to say like, of making a point like, we're none of us perfect. Like we're more fit for the 12 apostles bar than we are for the first holiness church or whatever. But it works. Thank God he
Oh,
loves us.
there it
If
is.
there's a way to
There it
do
That's a
that,
is.
great
like,
angle. To me, that's like the home run of this so far. If
Yeah.
we're gonna go, we have to write this idea. To me, there's something
That's right.
there.
We're more fit for the 12 Apostles bar than the something something church
than the
than
pew,
the first
than
yeah
the
yeah. I love that. I think that's fantastic, and because hey, as a publisher, as an artist, as a producer, David, you see that you're gonna be like, how the hell did this come across my desk?
you're gonna
You're
want to
kind of
see
winning
what
before you're spinning. You want to see what they did with it, right? And maybe expecting a train wreck, but you're going to want to see what they did.
yeah.
With it,
If I
right?
see that title, I'm like, okay, what is this about?
Yeah,
But
but
to me,
that's
like
good. They're
that
more fit
angle
for this than that. That's perfect.
would have that tongue in cheekness. You'd have to do, some of that tongue in cheek, but yet there's a real point about God uses screw ups, and none of us are perfect. And the people that act like they are, they're only acting. And that's just
Yeah,
part of their screw up. So it could have a good point and a good positive message that is actually like pro church, meaning like the body of Christ, like believers, body of believers, not
Hmm.
in framing it going like, we're seriously more fit for the 12 apostles bar. But thank God he, I don't know. He uses us
yeah. I
anyway
think
or
you could
whatever.
have that religious message at the end where you
Yeah,
could say
just like
that.
thank
And maybe now that's still something you probably couldn't get away with in Southern gospel, even though you go really deep into the religious point just because there's bar in it. People are
What's
gonna
with that idea? If
yeah.
you pick up your guitar, what's the first chord you strum? What's it feel like?
Oh,
it feels major.
Like just George Strait major, right? G,
Yeah,
maybe so.
like a
Yeah.
G
yeah,
chord,
yeah. I think so. And
and then
tempo
you
and
capo up to the artist.
Well, you got to eventually get to
Three
the
spot.
holiest of all guitar chords, right? You know what that is? The holiest guitar chord.
no.
It's a G sus.
No.
Boom, hey,
Thank you,
ho.
thank you.
Try the meal.
um,
No, okay.
but
What
I would
about
see this like you could aim it toward like a Christian country artist, of which that's not even really a genre. There's some artists out there, but it's not really a genre just because you have Southern. I've been writing more of that, so I've been learning like, boy, I don't know of anyone that
Trace
can get away
Adkins
with
could do
that.
something like this, hypothetically, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
sense of humor and that reverence mixed with the sense of humor and a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of "aw shucks," you know.
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
and
maybe
a
you could go a
message
George
and a
Strait kind
message.
of way where you pull it more country than even like Christian. It's still based in that. But that's one thing I love about country is that, Josh Turner can have a long black train once in a while. One of those can pop out, or God in country music. But speaking of George Strait, or I Saw God Today, you can talk about those spiritual topics in a reverent way in country music. That's one thing I love about it. So this might be able to pull into a corner there. If you kind of leave it a lot of the churchy language out of it and leave it more everyday blue collar language of getting the point across, like, man, the more I hear about these guys, the more I figure like they're more fit for the 12 apostles bar than the holy of holies church or whatever. And then talk about like, hey, you know what? I kind of feel like I fit in more with those guys. I think this is okay that I'm
If
not
they can be
perfect.
saved, I can be saved. Yeah, it's okay.
God can use them and forgive them and love them. I guess he can do that for me too.
So is this
Here's
where
the
we
toast,
go?
man.
Man,
Raise the
that's
toast,
man. I love that idea. Let's you guys like Mexican?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go eat some
I'm
tacos
hungry.
and ride it out. No, that's good. We got some great looks at this. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's the winner. I think that's the winner. I think that is like the coolest way to write that. And what what a really good
and
title
and a
that
lot of
is
what
just
it
going to make some people feel something right off the bat, like pissed off or interest or
mhm.
something. But
And
you're gonna
Joe,
evoke an emotion.
yeah, and Joe, like sending this in, kind of what we're doing is we're excavating, we're looking for like the vein of truth. Like what feels true in this? Like to me,
Yeah,
that feels true. Like these guys are screw ups, but thank God can use them and love them, forgive them. So I guess he can do that for me. Like that is some truth that I feel, right? And so a lot of that in these times going, what's the truth in that? That we can tap into like a real emotion, something that we really feel. And then that helps it to start making sense, even though it's a ridiculous title, at first
Yeah,
blush.
well,
Like,
it could be more
no
ridiculous.
idea.
It's funny that you said that because here's my brain. This is not really contributing to this, but here's my brain. I was thinking, well, there's something about a bar that seems like it's still within the spiritual things. Because I thought, what if it was 12 Apostles Crack House? And then you said the vein of truth, and I was just sort of like, wow, that's so synchronistic. Like, I'm thinking 12
what
Apostles
if it's a
Crack
12
House or
Apostles
Meth
shooting
House,
gallery? Yeah,
and you're
shooting
saying
Yeah.
vein
gallery.
of truth. I'm like, there's a picture there. I gotta articulate
Got
that.
to throw that stuff out. It is a safe
It
place.
digresses.
That's what I love about you, Brainerd. You're as warped as I am.
No, 12 Apostles Meth House.
There
That
you
would
go.
be way more like interesting, but the bar allows for this to even happen. Like,
Yeah.
oh, there is wine, Jesus drinking.
Hmm. Would that
A
make them?
bar is kind of innocent compared to like the challenge of, well, how do you make 12 Apostles Meth House work?
Yeah. Would they be Crystal Methodist?
Oh, hey,
Methodist.
fantastic.
Oh
All right, well,
man.
Dave, thank you so much for being on. I think we got some good looks at that. Is there anything you want to plug while you're on? Like, who can we direct traffic to for you?
I don't even think that way.
I know you're humble, but that's why I'm
Man.
asking
Or
honestly.
artists you're working with that we should be aware of. By the way, thank you for
Oh,
working on that Brandy Clark record, 12 Stories.
Oh my
What do you
gosh.
do when she brings in a song like Hold My Hand? Do you just go,
oh man.
how do I'd be so worried, like, how do I not screw this up? Because that's an amazing song.
That's funny that
Such
you
a
say
great
that.
project, man.
That's exactly what that was a pivotal point in my just as a producer because I did the Jared stuff and I was Ray Scott and I was
Mhm.
just starting to kind of like learn that role. And then Brandy came in and it was that it's like I played the work tapes and Pray to Jesus came on
Oh, yeah.
and it was like oh crap, and the first thing in me was like I don't want to do this. It's like I'm too scared to do this. I could screw this up, and that was what was the feeling. So
Yeah.
there was like 20 or 30 songs that were kind of in the mix, and then once we got it and started doing it, it was really just trying to boil which songs became that character of 12 Stories because
Yeah.
it was a little bit more all over the map, but it seemed like all those ones were like telling a story, a
Yeah.
certain character. So yeah, it was that was a fascinating project because then from there, to my detriment, it made it really difficult to get passionate about anything else. And so, and luckily, that has carried over into the things that I've been a part of. It's never been mainstream since then. It's been
Mhm.
kind of like on the Grammy kind of cred lane,
Mhm.
but we're trying to push that lane into mainstream because obviously to have hits and stuff like that would be amazing, but
Yeah.
it's weird when your bar not a 12 apostles bar,
Yeah.
but when the bar is that high, it's hard to just to kind of like um be a pro at just like down the middle.
Yeah. But
And I
man, what a great
respect that
record.
too because there's a lot in that. So anyway, so a lot of the things that the Jenny stuff is obviously Jenny is my fiance. And
Mhm.
so we got together and we've been building her whole thing for a while. We did the record. We just did another record. A single's coming out. So I'm really more roped into the whole launch and the whole building of her career. And it's really fun. And so I kind of split a lot of my time in that world,
Mhm.
marketing,
So that's
music.
Jenny Tolman.
Yeah.
So they need to go
So
find
check
her
out
on.
Jen's stuff. on Spotify. Everybody knows where to go nowadays.
Yeah.
Some great songs on there. I have to so I have to say this because I get to say it because I'm on a podcast, so it's not germing when you're on a podcast, which is cool. But y'all, if you haven't heard the 12 Stories record, I don't care what genre you write in. First of all, there's not a bad song on that record. It's
No.
Randy Clark's 12 Stories. Every single song is so brilliantly written, lyrically, melodically, and brilliantly produced.
Mhm.
It's you did a great job of staying out of the way and not getting in the way of those melodies and the space that's on that record. I was turned on to the record through the song "Hold My Hand," and as a full-blooded Midwestern American male, that lyrically was an X-ray into the mind of how a woman thinks.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I was like, holy crap, this is where you guys go? Like, wow, And I remember having this conversation when you start a relationship with somebody and things are really, really, you can just feel they're big, right? This is a
Yeah.
big, big thing. I'm speaking specifically about Janelle right now. And there's all kinds of, oh boy, do I want to go here? Do I want to go here? I don't know. I'm scared to death to go here. Like, I really like what's going on, which means I'm really going to be vulnerable. And this person could really freaking wreck me.
Yeah.
And we were in that space very, very early on in our relationship. And Dave, I got to tell you, I sent her that song. And she fell to pieces. She was like, okay, maybe we can do this because you can understand me. And I'm like, I really don't, but I think this is the way you might think. Because I'm a man and I'm trying as hard as I can. But that was so powerful. So I got to, thank the writers for that. I got to thank you for producing that. It was just really, really good. And so I just recommend everybody goes and checks that out. And then the Jenny Tolman stuff is just stellar. There's so many favorites that when I go out and see you at the local, I'm hoping I didn't miss if I show up late, or I'm hoping you're going to play if I'm there on time and not leave out of the set. Like what's the cock-a-doodle-doo song?
Oh yeah, well that's on the next record coming out. Home to Roost.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's something to look forward to. This song's amazing. But
yeah, it's amazing when you can have a sense of humor nowadays, and that's it's missing a lot. There's a few people that are doing it, but too much of a I don't know. I just feel like this generation is so brooding and so moody, and it's sort of like wannabe Billie Eilish in country.
Yeah.
Just the flavor of like the messaging and all that stuff. And God, we miss the Porter Wagners and the Dollies and and just it's the sophisticated sense of humor, sophisticated charm. It's like cheesy without being stupid. It's like cheesy, clever cheesy. So we enjoy that with the Jenny stuff. It's a lot of just room for her personality. Creates so much boundaries for
well, she sells the fire
humor,
out of that on stage too. You know what I mean? It's one thing to write a song like that, but it's another thing to be able to deliver it and make it work. And it's a pleasure to watch her do that. She sells the fire out of that. It just does it really, really well. It's super fun.
Yeah, you got to have that. And I was gonna say one more thing on the Brandy thing too. Is we're asked around the Grammy time, they go, "How's it feel to be bringing country music back?" Right? And my answer was, it was funny. I go, I don't see myself as a country music producer, although I love great country music. I'm one. I grew up on the Beatles. I'm trying to make Abbey Road. I just happen to love amazing country songwriting and amazing country voices. And when you give me those two things, I'm trying to make Abbey Road with it. And so that's where that sound comes from, because I'm not chasing what the '90s did or even what the Outlaws did. I don't geek out on country music production, so none of my stuff is ever throwback that way. It's just kind of like Abbey Road with a great singer and a great country song. And so that's just my formula on the Brandy thing. And I realized that at the time, because I go, I don't think any of that's really country music. It's just a great country song and a great country singer. I've done that with like Ray and even Jared to a certain extent. He was just a solid country singer in the early days, and then it gives you it anchors it. It gives you country music insurance.
Yeah.
and then you can do stuff around it and be a little bit innovative. But when I say innovative, I mean rootsy innovative, arrangement innovative, textures, soundscapes. I don't mean like pushing the 808 button more
Yeah.
Right.
cleverly, It's just really trying to bring in organic elements back into it, arrangement, just fundamental arrangement stuff. So anyway, that's
Well,
just
I do, but I mean, I think that's one of the things that I enjoy most about that record is the 12 Stories, is the arrangements, the
Mhm.
choices that you made. There's just so much space in there for that story to sit in and deliver what it's supposed to deliver. And some of those juxtapositions created in those stories are just freaking fascinating. You know what I mean? There's not a bad song on the record. There's no filler. All
Oh.
killer, no filler. Like, it is brilliant from front to back. So watch that. Dave Brainerd, thank you again for saying yes and spending this time with us. Check out Jenny Tolman, Tolman, and then be watching for the next release that's coming out, because that is one of my favorite songs right there. But this, climbers, send in your song titles to info@daredevilproduction.com. Put STC in the subject line, or song title challenge, and then maybe we'll just pull that up and get you on with somebody as amazing as Dave Brainerd here to kind of suss out which way those songs could go. This podcast exists because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.
So, hey, real quick, thanks for having me on. And Brent, like I said, this was off the podcast, but heard your name for years. What a pleasure. I hope to drink a beer with you sometime soon. And great to meet you. And
Amen,
Johnny,
brother.
thank you so much for having me.
Let's make it happen. Thanks.